latch on to the fact that this man and I, we weren't so very different. I got judgments to pass in a sense of right. I'll talk my mouth off to whomever will listen. But freedom really is free, and like what I've been said, everything is actually permitted. And until the day that my old man dies, you and I guess we'll just have to keep on living. So I packed up my things and I headed back north, back to a place where pretensions are more innocent. I still desire change, both in people and in place. That's the point, it ain't my decision. And reality is as reality goes, and reality is based on how we see it. We all families all have just magnets to well, anything if we just want to be it. Let's go! You turned it to me, you cut it and see, 'cause you don't need a dream, but how could you ever see? You turned it to me, you cut it and see, 'cause you don't need a dream, but how could you ever see? You cut it and see. How could you ever see? You turn it to me. You cut it and see. 'Cause you're only me. How could you ever see? 'Cause you're only me.
Hello, stream. Can I get a 1 in the chat if you can hear me? And as always, do not forget to smash like, subscribe to us, and subscribe to PewDiePie.
I've never gotten used to how the days begin to work. My memories are circle, not starting, never done. But I think I might be more afraid than I ever was to die. Not because of what's come in my head, but because I am alive. Despite the fact that I was raised thinking that I would be the one, I'm not ashamed of how I got here, and I'm glad for what I've done. But the only thing duty done. Our king will make us rich, second to none. We go to Tortuga, to adventure, to wealth. Here's to us, boys. I drink to our health and fame and glory and wealth again. The sun in our head, the wind in our sails, the ocean over the rails. Salt in the air, take a soul in hand. We'll capture some booty, a chest for each man. To adventure, to the sea. Now drink.
Your light is the vanishing twilight. Your passion, the well running dry. Your fear is the fear of an angel who's taken for granted immortality. Your light is a blistering sunset. Your bane is the truth very frail. My teeth are as sharp as an adder's. These fangs are my freedom. Their aim cannot fail. My light is a vein that is creeping. My place is the cracks in between. My history fierce and unpleasant. There is no peace treaty to erase the deed. He claims to be immortal, but his infamy will die. These men only worship what gold pieces buy. When my corpse lays in the street covered by flies, who'll be there to measure the cost of your lies? Your feast is the feast of the devil. Your pleasures are cruelty and greed. You come here to sneer and retort, knowing Constantinople will pay you in need. Who came here to spoil and change up their land? What selfish shapes they whisper while they're making their plans? No blade can purge the vengeance contained in my hands. The breadth of my justice unmeasured by man.
I've done so much awesome shit, it could blow your mind. In fact, I already have 1,000 times. Running through time and space, realizing my will. Guided by my awesome phone, I don't need no pills. We've all traveled here.
Hello. All right, cool. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. Maybe we can get
Our purpose is clear.
check. Cool.
Fuck all the dinosaurs. I'm gonna kill 'em. I'll kill all the dinosaurs.
Is that everything you
Crush
did?
'em all with the meal. Gonna kill 'em.
This mic
Kill
check.
all the
Yeah, that sounds good.
dinosaurs. Gonna crush 'em all.
Okay, let's do it. Check.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 7th Bros Pitch Party. I choose you. Thank you all for coming in. Come on in, take a seat. First off, I just want to double check to make sure that you have registered at the registration table. This is how you are able to vote this evening. Let's see. Anyone who is not present at the pitch party opening ceremonies, which is happening now, won't be able to vote tonight, but we'll get into the voting mechanism later on. Yeah, how you guys doing? All right. I'm very excited. What I'm most excited about is we are about to decide the order of the pitches this evening. Can I please call all of the pitchers to the stage? Thank you very much. You can line up and face your crowd. Miss Anna Plattis, when you have a moment, if you would like to come up with the numbers they will choose. Could I please get some sort of drum roll from the crowd, please? This is very exciting. All right. Congratulations, pitchers. Please go take your moment to prepare. Oh, wait, please step off to the side with Anna so that you can prepare. But thank you guys all so much. At this point, we would like to update you all on our upcoming events that we have this year. We have Space Kumite later on. We have Shakesville coming up, and we have Glitterous in the future. So if I could, I know, right? All right, one more time. Let's do that again. So Shakesville. All right, we have Glitterous. And Space Kumite. I said them completely out of order, but that's okay. So if I could have a representative from Shakesville come up and give us a little, I think that's going to be Bobby. I see Bobby, Mr. Robert Harris, everyone.
Hello, party people! All right, I don't have much time. We're going to do this fast. Shakesville. Welcome to Shakesville. Coming up very soon. It's coming up in May. Our volunteer meeting is going to be March 8th. We're going to have a ton of things for people to do, so please come to the volunteer meeting. Hey, Trevor made it in perfect timing! We'll talk about Shakesville.
Hey guys, sorry I was speeding from work, but I'm really happy to be here and like so super excited to just basically tell everybody that this show is happening right now. So right now we have a band that's already been rehearsing. The hand is awesome. I'm like so totally stoked. We got a cast that's shaping up really well. So keep an eye out for official things for that. Yeah, just get involved. Now's the time to get involved.
Yeah. It's a story. It starts in 1965. It's a story about Betty Vega, songwriter of Jimmy Graves and the Sonic Wave. And we go into a magical puppet universe filled with colorful characters, and it's going to be a wonderful time. There are a ton of puppets to build. There's going to be sets to build. There's going to be so much stuff to do. We're going to have a team puppets that we're going to be putting out for pretty soon. So please, everybody, come out. Get excited. This show is going to kill. Thank you so much. Less than a minute. Fuck everybody.
Thank you for your personal restraint. All right, everybody, if you are interested in Shakesville, please check all of our Facebook events for upcoming volunteer meetings and all of that. Could I please have a representative from Space Kumite, our next event later on this year?
Yeah, do the video. We have video and music. Video.
It'll be fall 2019. It's our second offering for 2019.
Flying through the galaxy at midnight. terraform the planet, make it so right to guarantee the future of mankind. Find a way, we'll trailblaze the glory. Find a way, we'll forge a path to victory.
Cool. Kumate! 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 Cool. So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a zero-G kickboxing ritual combat on a generation ship in space. At a party, at a show, at a sporting event. You're gonna love it. It's a different ending every night. It's gonna be amazing. All right, cool.
All right, Space Kumite, could I please have a representative from Glitterous come up and tell us about our 2020 main stage?
Yeah. We need to turn off the music first.
Ready? Dragons!
Happening in May 2020, and our script is being written, and we have a proto-music team of music gods, and we are going to be looking for directors sometime later this year, so watch out. Glitterous is a sword and sorcery, dragon-inspired and fueled quest to defeat the evil tower wizard that represents all that is bad in the land of Glitterous. Yeah, boo tower wizard. And it's also a psychedelic metal-inspired romp that is in a parallel universe to the Grundlehammer. So if you're interested, I'm Sarah Gilchrist. I'm the decider for Glitterous. And
And I am Jay Weichselbaum. I am the music director for Glitterous. If you like music that sounds like Led Zeppelin or Black Sabbath or any other proto-metal stoner rock, you are going to like this show. We have a music team. We're writing music. We have a script team. We've already written one script. We're writing another version. And if you want to build a dragon this summer, you should come to see us.
so, what do we say? Dragons, 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 dragons.
All right, thank you, Team Glitterous. All right. Again, those are our upcoming productions for the next couple of years. So please, if you were interested in volunteering, sign up for No Floaters and check with our volunteer coordinators to see how you can get involved. So in the past, we have had different voting mechanisms for Bros pitches. So to explain how this year is going to work, I would like to call up Artistic Council Member Jacob.
Hello. So a little more boring business. So this year we are doing a process that for any election nerds called instant runoff voting. So anybody here tonight is eligible to vote as long as you've registered, or if you've ever worked on a Bros production, you can vote online afterwards. So essentially, all you need to do is after this evening and heard all these amazing pitches, is rank your selections from 1 to 6, with 1 being your most preferred to 6 being least. Then after that, we have the work. So the goal here is to find the show with the greatest general consensus. So the way the process works is everyone's first choice gets counted. Everybody essentially gets 1 vote. If in the first round a pitch receives more than 50%, then it wins and we're done. If not, then it goes into the next round where the pitch with the fewest votes gets eliminated, and anybody who supported that pitch, your vote gets transferred to your next preference. And then that process continues until one pitch has 50% of the votes, or over 50%. And then we announce the winner at the Swingtacular on March 23rd. So yeah, this is a voting process like for anybody like into politics or election that's usually considered like one of the least problematic. It helps, especially when you have multiple people or things contending. It will help us choose the greatest consensus. We will help prevent like the event like a show just getting 20% support and everybody else hates it, which would probably be bad. And yeah, that's about it. Are there any questions or confusion? Cool. Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, guys. So just to let you know how tonight is going to go, I have it all written down on this beautiful clipboard. So each pitch tonight will be allotted 10 minutes to pitch their show, and then there will be a 5-minute post-presentation Q&A. We are really trying to be true to time. So John DeCampos, JD, is our timekeeper this evening. We will have a 5-minute changeover between each presentation, and there will be a 20-minute intermission. Again, this time is to remind you that registration will close after the end of the first pitch. I think we're ready to get started. I'm excited. I'm excited to find out what the next show is going to be, which will be announced at our Swingtacular on March 23rd. Very excited. Tickets are available now. So if I could have the first presenter come up. It's behind me. It's Neon Streets. Thank you very much. Let's give it up for our first presenter.
Don't worry, I will not be playing this tonight. Purely for show. Hello, everybody. My name is Simon Cantor. I'm new here. I'm thrilled to meet all of you. I don't want to say this too early because I know it's bad luck, but I'm already in love. And my show is called Neon Streets, and the first thing I have for you is a video. Hit it, Hachi.
Twilight falls on the megacity of Cincinnati. The world has turned a blind eye to the crime and corruption that ravaged the streets like a virus. Social order has collapsed. In this city, music is the only power. But that power is divided. Bands make the music. Techs serve their every whim. Bands roam the neon streets and suburban clubs, ready for a challenge. On these streets, winner takes all.
Welcome, synthesins, to the world of Neon Streets. Before we get started, I've got a couple quick shout-outs. This logo and background were done by my good friend Tim Nicholas. It's original work. The track behind it, my friend Michael Pfeiffer did most of the heavy lifting on. And thank you to JD and Erica, my AC council people, who helped me with guidance on this idea. All right, let's fucking dig in. I gotta get my notes up here. Okay, here we go. So, the world of Neon Streets, it's what I would call a mid-apocalyptic cityscape of magenta and blue, a rain-slick megapolis where the perpetual twilight has allowed the underground to spill out into the overworld. Basically, the only light in this world is artificial, pouring out of screens, holograms, street lights, crowded signs, or everyone's favorite, trash can fires. Social order in this hellish polity has completely collapsed, discarding the traditional family unit in favor of bands. Fame is the new faith, and nightclubs are its temples and its coliseums. Bands fight for survival on stage and off, challenging each other in winner-takes-all musical combat. I want to show you a little bit. We've seen some clips, just things from visual inspirations. The Blade Runner, The Running Man. Lots of running going on, you can tell. We've got Escape from New York. And yeah, If we could get actual Snake Plissken for this production, it would be a huge plus. Judge Dredd, 2000 AD, and a great time here. There is like an environmental catastrophe in the background, but it's not nuclear war. It's just climate change. So we probably will not be having the mega cities on the coasts, is all I'm saying. Okay. So what does synthwave look like? Synthwave is a genre of music that's been building for a number of decades now, but it has its roots in cinema scores. We've got Vangelis's score for Blade Runner, Harold Faltermeyer's score for The Running Man, the soundtrack to Akira, the seminal cyberpunk anime, which has awesome weird folk instruments and choral elements in it, which you guys are going to love. And even Italian zombie films, Fabio Frizzi's got a really famous score to Zombie 2. Okay, so I would categorize the look of synthwave into two basic categories. You're looking at the second one right now, which I like to call Sunset Drive down the Pacific Coastal Highway in a Trans Am inside a computer. And the one before it is Midnight in Neo Tokyo. So those are the two looks we're going for. So what are the rules of this world? Life is super hard in the city. There's acid rain, so you can basically only wear capris because everything below mid-calf gets eaten alive. There's no government, there's no cops, there's no violence because the people have had enough of war. The copyright wars in the 1940s really took a toll on everybody. So samples are up for grabs. Warlords are concentrating musical power wherever they can. The city's built around stages. There is one sacred tradition among the people, though. It's called the gig. It's an uninterruptible musical duel between bands that can be called at any time, for any reason, anywhere. So if you're a musician, it's a dangerous life. You could have everything taken from you. Your money, your instruments, your samples, your 6 shades, your fingerless gloves. So the people that choose not to be musicians are instead techs. They live as an underclass, serving the whim of the musicians. Anytime there's a gig, they have to drop whatever they're doing and set the stage for battle. So our main characters are a scrappy band of techs who grew up together, and they too are too afraid to really come out in the open with their musical talents, but they've been practicing in the shadows. They have the audacity to dream that one day people might simply play music just to enjoy it rather than to survive. Okay, let's talk about the people of Cincinnati. These people are body-modded, leather-obsessed, mohawk-sporting punks, next slide, pauldron-wearing, skull-festooned wastelanders, next slide. We've got, next slide, competing for fame against open-chested disco freaks wearing gaudy chains, next slide. And gator skin shoes as sharp as knives. Whoa. All right, nice. So, we've also got, here we go. I can control the slideshow. I forgot about that. Yeah, I can do that. Between these two looks, we've got cyberpunk people. We got the kids these days with the abs. All right. Will music be restored to the hands of the people, or will it forever be used as a weapon? Find out in the thrilling conclusion to Neon Streets. Yes, excellent. Feedback is good, right? Okay. Next, I want to talk about the set really quickly. Synthwave and all the cyberpunk shit is all about the street. Canyon-like buildings and bright lit streets. This is a really versatile idea. You can build it really vertically with a long depth of field. It also works well for cathedrals, boom, street, look at that. Symmetry, we got it all. We've also got underground cinemas. Notice, right? High walls, long depth of field, bright center. Excellent. We got more of that stuff. Here, great props to Erica. This is West Side Story. Multiple different castings. Really great idea. You can do things on different levels. You're moving from the underground to the above world. And it's got lots of great verticality, which I'm pretty sure is a word. The music. You're hearing it right now. If you don't know what synthwave is, do yourself a favor. Google it. Some dope album covers. The Proto Men. Here we go. We love them. The Midnight. Makeup and vanity set. Here's Carpenter Brute doing that shit live. This will not be an all-recorded type of a show. We're going to do live band. It's going to be rad. Lastly, I want to pitch to you my magnum opus, the stupidest thing I've ever thought of. I want to do a live, fake, stationary motorcycle chase scene in Act 5. I don't think I have enough time to describe how this is going to work, but trust me. Ladies and gentlemen, Neon Streets!
All right, thank you so much to Simon Cantor for Neon Streets. We now have 5 minutes for Q&A, so we have 4 minutes for a Q&A, so please raise your hands high and clear, and I will bring the mic to you. Any questions for that motorcycle scene, perhaps? Hello?
Program complete. Enter when ready.
All right, what you got? What you got?
I'm Eric. So, how much time screen are we getting for synth music?
Yes.
So, focus is synth, but
Yes.
how much music?
Great question. So the beautiful thing about synthwave, as it's come together in the last decade, is that it's a real fusion of original 70s synth from these soundtracks, Giorgio Moroder, and Fritzy, but it's also got, you can pull in influences from rock bands at the time that were using a lot of synths like Yes, Styx, Journey, Someday Love Will Find You. It will, trust me, okay? But then we also have really great, there's a lot of ballad things going on. There's also like chiptune you could consider a part of this whole space, right? Okay. So we could have a guy, JD's idea was to have a guy walking around just covered in Game Boys, which I love, with like puppet dancers everywhere. I don't know. There's a ton of great avenues that you can go with synth music. And like I said, Carpenter Brute, I just went to one of their shows, and they performed probably 90% of the sounds they were playing were coming out of live instruments. So there's a lot of squealy guitar stuff going on, and V drums and all kinds of stuff. Oh, yes, and saxophone.
Okay, thank you. We do have another question.
Yeah.
Music is power. Music is force in this world, right?
Totally.
Why? What is it that gives music that force, that authority in the world?
The whole backstory is that the city used to be controlled. Basically, copyrights got completely out of control, and so the whole city was an oligarchy run by powerful companies that owned the rights to technology. When the environmental catastrophe struck, a lot of technology went dead, but we still have all this great analog music technology. And in a mid-apocalyptic world, distraction becomes important, and people started to consolidate power. Then the copyright wars happened, and everything was up for grabs. So now it's like a real chaos, Mad Max type of shit. Fist of the North Star, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Okay. I hope that answers your question. Great. All right. 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Any other questions? Okay.
So, what are you psyched to figure out with the writing team?
Oh, okay. With the writing team, one of the biggest challenges, I think, is that synthwave music, it tends to be very light on vocals. and the vocals that it has tend to be very slow and very repetitive, like much more like techno refrains or like house music refrains, really airy. But so finding a way to tell the story through choreography and visually is, I think, actually going to be one of the bigger challenges, because you're not going to have the operatic style exposition and narrative of songs during the show. Oh, hell yes. Okay, the great thing about this is it's going to be a ton of bands in it, and basically no one's going it alone in this universe because it's really dangerous. You could get beaten and wiped out instantly. So there's going to be an opportunity for 40 or 50 people to be in it, even just to have a line or even just to appear in a band. And an extensive tech crew. So it's going to be a lot of great stuff. Yeah.
All right, once again, thank you, Simon Cantor with Neon Streets. All right, at this point, registration for voting this evening will be closed.
There we go. So who are the characters anyway? Our protagonists, determined to get their life back no matter what. 2 or 3 supporting roles traveling with this person, also to appeal their deaths and pain. They're either going to be human characters or weird ghosts or monsters. I haven't decided yet. Death itself, the main antagonist, a jerk who needs a lackey to help them cover up their mistakes, which are many. Death's lackey. Their job kind of sucks when you really think about it. A blended stage crew and ensemble. This is something I've wanted to do in Bros for a while. Is obviously blend the stage crew into the ensemble and have everyone participate in the show that way as much as we can without endangering anyone's safety. And we're also going to need various puppeteers and voice actors for all the Weird Bros bugs. More on those in a second. So what's the music like? You're fucking listening to it. It's thrash metal. It's fast. It's loud. It's really abrasive. There's lots of guitar shredding and sick riffs and double kicks. And growl and shriek vocals, as well as character voices. Examples being Ghoul, who's playing right now. Early Metallica, like Kill 'Em All, Master of Puppets era, before they started to suck. Anthrax, specifically the Joey Belladonna years. Motorhead, who are kind of the godfathers of heavy metal anyway. And then sort of the more black metal reign of Load and Vetusta and Torrid Husk. Look them up, they're awesome. There's going to be some slower, doomier songs for contrast. Think heavy metal, or think heavy temple, think witchcraft, think pentagram. We're actually from around here. I think we're from DC. Also Guar, because Guar rules. The vocals will be spread among the cast and ensemble to minimize vocal strain and will allow for cool shout-along choruses. Something else I wanted to hear in garage shows for a while. Because that shit's cool and fun. Won't that make the vocals hard to understand? Yes! But we can project the lyrics on stage the way traditional operas do when they perform in other languages. I heard it, goddammit, and I don't care. Because subtitled, non-traditional, character and vocal singing, obviously vocal singing, is unique in live and musical theater. There is an inherent goofy theatricality to heavy metal performed in its purity, specifically thrash metal, that the theater doesn't really leverage enough. And I think it'll look cool, it'll sound cool, and there really aren't a whole lot of other people doing it. Woo! So what does the show look and feel like? So think of the Paris catacombs, which are a real thing. They're a huge ossuary built under the city of Paris, meant as an overflow for the city cemeteries. There's like a couple million people's remains buried in there. It looks really awesome, and I have pictures of that in a second. If you put that inside of a human bowel full of garbage and occult graffiti, with bones and trash and piles of guts everywhere, intestinal noises, weird farts that come from nowhere, maybe piles of shit, who knows? Compare it to Halloween Town. At the start of the Nightmare Before Christmas, Halloween Town is really weird and unwelcoming. They have a clown with a tearaway face. Fuck that shit. As you spend more time at Halloween Town, you realize it's actually quite charming, and it is upkept by a community that actually cares a lot about it. To that end, character-wise, as far as costumes go, I want dirty-looking peasant costumes, I want corpse paint, I want weirdness all around. Check out the Paris catacombs. That shit is rad. Skulls. More skulls. The cool thing about the Paris catacombs is shit is arranged in interesting shapes like this. This is a human bowel with polyps in it. I learned a lot researching images for this show. Primarily that if you are willing to step into hell, you will see the devil. And his name is Polyps. This is the sort of very tentative color palette I will be using. This will probably change a lot as I am informed by people with a better sense of color theory than me. So what are some big moments in the show? Monster bug fights! The reveal of death is the slaying mantis. There's a pun in the goddamn thing. The eruption of Mount Pompeius. Which could be a fart, it could be diarrhea, it could be something a bit more traditional. We'll figure it out when we get there. And spraying the audience with filth. We'll get to that in a second. Monster bugs, you say? Yes, I do. 4 monster puppets, patterned after giant bugs. We have Death, obviously a cloaked figure that's a huge praying mantis. We have a three-headed dog on a spider body. Whoa. We have a spricket sitting on a giant toilet overlooking a lake of maggots. That lake is called the Demon's Toilet. It does serve a purpose within the show. And we have a huge farting grave slug. The slugs will battle the protagonists during the show with songs attached. Here's a drawing of the grave slug. Thank you, Erica. That's very nice of you to draw that for me. So you keep saying spray the audience with filth. Well, sections of the audience will be sprayed with fake, obviously, blood, trash water, ichor, poop, snot, bile, etc. You get the idea. Sort of in the style of war, sort of in the style of Ghoul. This filth spraying will take place during monster fights and the volcanic ending. This is a step forward for bros from a technical and visceral standpoint. We've never done it. We should do it. Here's a picture of Guar doing that shit. So what am I going to do? I want to write the show, and that's basically it. I'll assemble a script team to help me. I'm a professional writer. I've written 3 books. I've been on 4 bros script teams, Bundle Hammer, Electric Pharaoh, Amphion 2016, and Space Choo-Choo-Choose, which I'm working on now. I will consult on other stuff, prop and set design, costumes, etc. But, although I have aesthetics that I really want, I will delegate actually putting them on stage in a way that looks good to people who know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah! Delegation!
I want to delegate this fucking screen moving forward. The end!
Thank you, thanks to all of yes supporting us. All right, so we have 5 minutes for Q&A. All right, we have a couple questions. Start with the beginning here.
We're going to be spraying the audience with blood and guts. My question would be, do you have any idea of a venue that can hold a bro-sized audience that will allow that?
Aside from the Paradise, which may or may not be a thing if the show gets picked. We would have to search around for that. Also, if we can't find a venue that will let us do that, we will either spray them with something that they will allow us to spray them with, or we'll use confetti. One or the other.
All right, thank you. We have another question over here.
How many songs would that be for a show? Does it have a longer format thrash songs, or just a lot more? Let's see what we think. That's where stuff like death metal and rock metal are really good influences, because those songs tend to be longer, and there does tend to be a lot more actual composition than you would expect from those genres. So we would be drawing from that end of the spectrum too. So they would be longer songs. Black metal songs can be anywhere from like 4 to like 10 or 11 minutes, which obviously we wouldn't be going to the longest extremity of that. But there's more play in the wheel for song length than you may think. So to answer your question, as many songs as it takes.
Good answer. All right, any questions from anybody else in the audience? All right, thank you. Can we give it up one more time for JK and Resurrecta? All right, up next we have Chris Ruther with his pitch, Love and Roar.
Oh my God! Oh, Victor! I missed it so much.
Everybody, my name is Chris. I'm Puppets Captain for Pros, and I'm up here with my friends the Puppets here. Love and Roar is a romantic comedy. It's a romantic comedy. Think basically in the movies of Edgar Wright, that sort of comedy style right there. The twist is this is a romantic comedy with kaiju. Kaiju, for those of you who may not know, kaiju are monsters, giant monsters. Rodan, Mothra, King Kong, Gamera, Gorgo, Godzilla. Just giant creatures in rubber suits just wreaking havoc through miniature cities. Love and Roar takes place in the fictional town of Bay City, a coastal mid-20th century American metropolis. The year is 1954. One sunny morning, the citizens of Bay City find themselves completely overrun with giant monsters that just come out of the ocean and just start wreaking havoc through the city. It's at this point that we meet our main character, Ray. She's our leading lady. Ray's a young librarian who finds herself being dumped on the worst possible day ever. Basically, her relationship is crumbling at the same time that her home is. However, she's intelligent, well-read, and empathetic, and she specializes in world mythology, which is important because using proofs from world mythology, she figures out why the kaiju are there. See, it turns out every 5,000 years, like sea turtles or cicadas, they congregate in different places to find mates. Now the trick is convincing people that they don't actually mean harm, especially since there's a nearby branch of the army who's determined to win back Bay City at any cost. Meanwhile, here's our main monster, Pariah. Pariah is a prehistoric sea beast who has just arrived at the kaiju mating grounds, so he's eager to find a partner. This is our romantic comedy hero right here. He's the one who's striving to win the girl, beat the rival, and find true love by the end of this thing. But the problem is, kaiju admire creatures that are big and strong, and he's a bit of a runt. So naturally, he's got a lot to prove. Things, of course, take an interesting turn when he meets Ray, and an unlikely friendship is formed. Because since he knows that Ray's there, he realizes that their mating grounds are home to a bunch of creatures and they're literally walking all over somebody's home.
Lizards need love too.
Also, Ray winds up becoming like the best friend cliche in romantic comedies because she's the one who helps him win the female monster's heart. And their friendship may be the key to actually saving Bay City. So, what you'll see in this show, a breakup in the middle of a rampage, I'll get more into that later. Kaiju courtship rituals, how do kaiju display, what are their mating dances? A monster makeover, Ray helps a 100-foot tall sea lizard get ready for a date. At one point, you see the army actually attack the kaiju, and then things, take a turn for the worse there. And then at the end of it, Pariah fights his monster rival, not to win the heart of the girl, but to protect the humans that are in the city. Because, empathy. That's key here. And then the very end of the show, the kaiju help to rebuild Bay City before they leave. Now, I'm sure the big question all of you are wondering is scale. How are we going to make a show about giant monsters and people work? Well, the key is staging. The main setting of the show is the smoldering remains of a trampled city. So human characters are going to be salvaging bits and pieces from the debris that they can find. But the way the stage might work would be forced perspective. It would help make humans look small and kaiju giant. To give you an idea what that might look like. So the humans and kaiju aren't actually the same size because that's what actors are. But as the stage goes farther back, the set pieces become smaller and smaller, so that all the kaiju scenes in the background they look much larger, even though they're actually just human size. It's all power of illusion. Human costumes are fairly simple. It's a combination of mid-1950s civilian and military apparel. So very conservative looking, very clean cut, and for the duration of this show, completely and utterly wrecked. These are people who survived essentially an apocalyptic event just one morning, so they haven't even had time to change clothes or get a shower. So lots of dirt, lots of rips and tears, lots of distressing. Just to make them look like they've been through Armageddon, essentially. Now, the kaiju, there are at least 9 individual monsters in this show. Each one, you have Pariah, the love interest, you have a rival monster, and then you have all the other kaiju that also appear in Bay City. They take We take our inspiration from Godzilla movies, camera movies, the Ultraman TV show. For most scenes when it's kaiju and kaiju interacting, they'd be played by people in rubber costumes, but lightweight, safe rubber costumes. The original Godzilla scene was 200 pounds. I'm not going to subject anybody to that. At the same time, though, there are moments where humans and kaiju interact. So the way that would be done would be giant puppetry. More specifically, giant monster parts. So that breakup I told you about, this would be happening literally in the middle of a rampage, and they'd be having this argument while trying to dodge giant monster feet and falling debris. But also, Ray has to interact and bond with and form a bond of friendship with another giant monster. She has to give a monster a makeover. And with that, I give you the largest piece of Love and Roar, a giant pariah puppet. This is essentially a giant. This one is essentially just a giant head and a giant hand that can gesture, emote, and something that the audience can really bond with. And it's just a giant head and giant hand to emphasize scale again, and also make people not think of King Kong the musical. As for the music, you've also been listening to it throughout the duration of this show. So it's a combination of sci-fi disaster movie soundtracks, composers like Akira Ifukube and Masaru Sato, who provided music for a lot of the Godzilla movies. Also, Gustav Holst, who did his Planet Suite, and John Williams, who's famous for Jurassic Park and Star Wars. At the same time, to balance it out with more of a heartfelt sense, you get a lot of early 2000s indie rock. Songs that you kind of love and hate at the same time, because let's face it, we also kind of love and hate rom-coms at the same time. They would include bands like Bombay Bicycle Club, Snow Patrol, Three Doors Down, Death Cab for Cutie, Ed Sheeran. You get the idea. So, why would you want to choose Love and Roar? Well, it continues the bros tradition of just insane spectacle. This is a show with giant monster effects. Just awe-inspiring sets. Again, we're trying to maintain a sense of scale here between humans and 100+ foot tall monsters. A large ensemble cast of at least 9 monsters, and then twice as many people again, and then a killer soundtrack. But all that spectacle is supposed to be spectacle of heart, because at the root of the show are the interpersonal relationships between humans and humans, kaiju and kaiju, humans and kaiju. And at its core of the show, it is about romance, but it's also about things like friendship, compassion, empathy. It's about love of all kinds. What are things that you can do? Have you ever wanted to construct a miniature city, or construct and tear apart clothing, create military equipment, write a colossal romance? I am not a writer, so I would definitely need help coming up with, really putting the meat into the story, into the bare bones of the story. If you've ever wanted to build a monster, that could be a giant head, a giant hand, giant monster feet. You could build entire kaiju suits. If you wanted, you could actually be a monster. Have anyone ever seen a Godzilla movie and wanted to just put on a rubber suit and just wreak havoc through miniature city? That's something I wanted to do. But the only way that you can do that is if you vote for this show, because as we all know, all's fair in Love and Roar.
For Q&A, any questions for Love and Roar? All right, I have a question back here. Here you go,
Chris, hey. As you noticed in the Facebook message today, saying that I was a little concerned about how you're going to pitch the scale of this show being kaiju 100 foot tall and people are like 6 foot tall, right? And you bitch slapped me.
I knew that was going to be the biggest issue with this show.
How do kaiju and humans communicate? Is there shared language or what?
That's a good question. I mean, if they share a language, then it would be easier to. It might be easier to establish a bond, but it could also be just as powerful if there is a language barrier between humans and kaiju. I mean, it could really go either way.
Thank you. Another question.
Also a good duet.
Mr. Jewett.
Google Translate. How in depth do you get in terms of describing kaiju mating?
Are we talking Team America? I too would like to know.
Mime it! Scale of 2. Maybe people reacting to what they're seeing.
Okay.
Only people know that those things are false.
What do you see as the musical style of Love and Roar?
Love and Roar is bombastic but heartfelt.
That earlier slide referenced John Williams, but also Death Cab for Cutie, so kind of those two things. Another question? Okay, why not?
Across the room.
That's okay.
So, musical stylings. Have you ever heard of the song Godzilla Eats Las Vegas?
No, I haven't.
You should absolutely look it up because you're a fan of kaiju. It's like a big band symphonic orchestrated piece by Stephen Stank with Keith Stanky. Yeah, look up Godzilla Eats Las Vegas.
That's amazing. That's something about Godzilla I did not know about. Now I do. Thank you.
Very interactive symphonic piece.
Okay, well, thank you so much. We are very excited. Let's go to Boston for Love and Roar. All right, everyone, thank you so much. At this point, it is our 20-minute intermission. And come on back to our last group
Would you just mind holding this together, please? Yeah. Here. Hold it like that. Well, it's because I was frantically reconfiguring the camera hardware so that I would be ingesting the audio from this camera instead of my shitty fucking interface that I'm so upset about. It crapped out again. I actually think it might be my computer because now my mic input isn't working either. So, is it running hot?
Check. Check 1, check 2.
Everybody, five more minutes until intermission is over. 5 minutes. Thank you. Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from intermission. View. All right, everybody. Something that we wanted to express to everyone, because I heard someone say in the bathroom, man, it's going to be so hard choosing between all of these pitches. The Artistic Council received 29 submissions this year. Can we get a round of applause for 29 submissions?
It was exceptionally hard to choose between all of them. It was really, really painful, especially Mark's signed submission that every answer to every question was just jazz, jazz, jazz. So thank you, Mark Stein. I would like to take this time to make an announcement that all of the bags for each of the pitches this evening, we are welcoming your notes and Valentines and stickers if you would like to put in your notes and stickers for everybody. So go ahead and check out those bags over there. All right, at this time, we are getting ready to start up again. We have our fourth pitch of the evening. Woo woo! All right, can we please call up to the stage June Keating with her pitch, Phantasma.
I can't see anybody. Well, hi. Oh, oh yes. Hi, everybody. My name's June. The show I'm pitching is called Phantasma. Yes. A haunted high school. A tenacious team. A reasonable 1.5 to 2 hours of murder, mystery, madness. Yes. Our story begins when 4 ghosts are kicked out of the afterworld. Because they were, oh yeah, they didn't avenge their murders. They were murdered back in 1979, but they kind of lied about it. They were like, oh yeah, we avenged our murders. But really, they didn't. They have unfinished business, and the authorities just found out. They're really bummed about this, because in the afterworld, there's boogieing, partying, just generally getting down. They really want to get back to the afterworld. Oh yeah, high school is hell! Hell! Yes, but it's a little more hellish for students of Rothbard High, who suffer under the suffocating regime of Principal Fornius. She's cruel, she's unusual, she's sadistic, but worst of all, she hates disco. Yeah, she sucks. Everyone hates her. All right, so this is our protagonist, Protagonist Smith. Guys, she doesn't have a name. She can be any gender or race or anything. Well, I'll use she to make it simpler. But anyway, she's rebellious and energetic, but she's lonely and bookish. She's not very popular. So she only musters up the courage to rally the troops against the evil and oppressive Miss Fornius when she meets... Oh no! The ghosts! Yeah! So they're ghosts. Now these are 4 former students of Rothbard High who were murdered during their senior year, and they were all in a disco band together. All right, we've got Friday. He's the head of the band. He's super cool. He's confident. He's curious, and he falls in love with our protagonist. Then we've got Straight A Sally. She plays the drums. She's insane. She loves crime. We've got crime, yeah. Then we've got the professor. Just super weird. Yeah, they play the keyboard. Nobody knows anything. Completely unpredictable and very weird. And then Pop Quiz. He's stupid, but he's great. And he's the lead guitarist. He's a muscle. He's nothing like Johnny Bravo, but I thought that picture really encapsulated. Like they're all kind of superficial and full of themselves. They were on top, right? Or oh yeah. And they were like royalty when they were at the school, right? They were super popular, which is why them and the protagonist are unlikely friends. See, only the protagonist can see the ghost, so she's their only hope for exacting revenge on whoever murdered them. They have to find out who murdered them in the first place. So since they were super popular and the protagonist is a nerd, they have to learn to work together. And they both learn things from each other. They try and venture into the ghost's memories and interview school staff who were alive at the time to try and investigate the mysterious murders. But there's something they don't know. Principal Fornius murdered them because she's been possessed by a demon for like 100 years. And in order to stop her human form from aging, she must devour the souls of her students. Yeah, she's evil. Also, she hates disco. She hates it, yeah. Yeah, she sucks. Everyone hates her. All right, so when the protagonist, Smith, and her ghost pals find out, they know that a simple court case isn't going to fix it. No, they need to exorcise the demon in front of the whole school. And what better time for a ridiculous demon exorcism than a school dance? Yeah. There's a big showdown at the school dance. The ghosts possess the boring band that was supposed to play at the dance, and then weaken Principal Thornius with disco and other genres of music that are all combined together into disco. Right? Yeah. But it's not quite enough. She's super tough because she's been a demon forever, and she did devour their souls. So, they have to summon help from the afterworld. Perhaps in the form of a ghost marching band? Yeah. Who knows? It's a mystery. Well, okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, there's a big showdown, blah, 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 ghost marching band. It's super cool. They defeat the demon, right? And the protagonist and Friday, who've been falling in love, they, like, kiss or something. I don't know. There's some kind of resolution there, right? But the victory is bittersweet. The ghosts have to bid farewell and return to the afterworld. Yes, Johnny! Yes. Anyways, okay, so but it's bittersweet because it's sad that they have to leave and the ghosts have to go back to the afterworld. But they do get to go back to boogieing, partying, and getting down. And they learn from their experience. They're less superficial now. They learn that people have to stick up for each other. They can't just be super popular all the time. And also the protagonist learns to speak up for herself and help guide the students of her school out of the oppressive atmosphere that Principal Thornius has created. All right. Thank you. So that's I love Shocking so much. Okay. All right. So for the sets and tones. So it takes place in present-day America, but everything's kind of cranked up, you know? So the high school, it's literally like hell. It's terrible. So there's Crunch'em Hall from Matilda, the Chokies. That's a big deal. And yeah, it's horrifying. It looks like nobody ever wants to be there. It's terrible. High school sucks, and they all hate it. Okay. Yeah, that's, oh yeah, sorry, Pump Up the Volume is a big influence on this one. Right? Yeah, that's why I love that. All right. Okay, costume. Well, first we've got the students. Don't pay attention. Yeah, I love it. They find it all the college years. Sorry. Well, I'll get back to this. It's even better than the original. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, so they're normal students, like high school students. That gives us a lot of chances to have extras in the show, a bigger cast. And then you can easily identify them because, you know, they're sort of in the different high school cliques. But it's all kind of muted because Principal Thornius doesn't really let them express themselves. Speaking of Principal Thornius, yeah. She's crazy. She's like Miss Toga. That's why she's in here a second time. And she's like that woman from Chicken Run. And also, maybe she's a little like femme fatale. I don't know. She has a lot of power. You know what I mean? And then as the show progresses, she gets more and more demon-like until they figure out that she was the murderer and why she murdered, you know? Oh, but then we get to my favorite part, the ghost and the disco costumes, which are something like this. Just some influences. Yeah. So you can see in the upper right, we have Austin Powers Gold Member, the best of the trilogy. So, you know, a lot of ruffles, sparkles, and they're glowing too. I like to take inspiration from, like, you know, the Electric Sparrow costumes and other shows we've done where the costumes were glowing. I think we can take it up to a whole new level. You know what I mean? Some more disco influence for you. Grace Jones, the coolest person ever. Right? All right. Oh, 3 minutes. Okay. Oh, all right. So, then we're going on to music. Yeah, that's important. All right. Yeah. So for the ghosts, it's disco, disco, disco. They're crazy. Yeah, they are absolutely insane. Rose hasn't really done much disco stuff, so I think we could just lunge into that. Disco all the way. But there's some other kinds of music too. The Principal, the metal. And then the general music is more like musical than other Rose shows have been in the past. Where like the lyrics like tell the story more clearly, and it's not like a deviation. It's more like it's just going on with the story. So yeah, we have Paul Williams there, so you can just take as much inspiration from this one. And then, you know, other more like classic musical kind of stuff. that. Then why a high school rock opera? Well, I was thinking Rose has done a ton of different genres, but high school is one thing we haven't delved into. And the whole spirit of rock and roll is like rebellion against oppression, right? So high school is a really oppressive place where everyone's finding themselves and wants to express themselves. And I think that a rock opera is the perfect opportunity to express the like heightened angst that everyone is feeling. You know, you can have some crazy emotional stuff. And also, as a high school student, I'd be willing to lend my expertise in that area. But yeah, I think with a high school rock opera, we could like crank it up a notch and just go insane. That's fantastic.
Thank you, June Keating with Phantasma. Any questions for June? All right. You guys, if you have any questions, if you can come on over here. There's a nice big space, lots of room for activities. All right, here you go, John.
Hey, June.
Hi.
So in the tradition of high school movies, would you be casting 20-somethings as high schoolers, or would you be trying to open this up to actual high schoolers?
Well, I think Rose could do well to like expand the younger amount of people, but also we could have a lot of adults. You know what I mean? I think this is an opportunity for us to get like younger recruits, right? I feel like that. So we can continue our 7,000-year mission, but as well, we wouldn't be excluding anybody.
Hi, June. This pitch is Disco Inferno to me, baby. Here's my question. Given that you're going to go to college and you may not be around to be the head writer, how are you going to be mainly involved in this? Because this clearly seems not only but a dream, but a great idea from you, and very unique.
Well, thank you. Well, I am going off to college, but I do plan on coming back for summers and winter break. And also, you can work on writing online, so I'd be able to meet with people in person a lot. So,
June, you just pitch slapped me again.
So my question is there going to be a disco ball in the Chokey?
Oh, yes, there is. No.
Solid
I'm just
answer,
kidding,
thank
there's
you.
not. No. There's. Oh, there are going to be tons of disco balls, but since Principal Fornius hates disco, I think it wouldn't make sense for her to put one in her own torches and like, you know. Well, maybe it would, but she.
I don't think
thinks
there's
like,
room in the Chokey.
Who knows? Yeah.
Hey, June.
Hi.
Are there parents in the show?
Yeah, there could be parents. I haven't really.
I'm
thought
just
out how to
wondering,
be
like,
involved.
do they pal around with their parents? Do they have a viewpoint on all of this? Do they interact with the main character? Is it all in the school, or is it about like their lives outside of school?
Well, a lot of it takes place in the school. I think it's more about the like terrain. Since we've got the plot of the ghosts don't really have parents. But I was thinking there could be like Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey moment where the parents get like possessed. You know, where the adults are like possessed by the ghost thing. Looks really stupid. That could be fun.
Okay, any other questions? All right, thank you. Let's give it up for June Keating and Phantasma. Okay, just a reminder that we are still accepting Valentines and notes for all of our pitchers over in their bags near the door. Thank you. All right, we have our fifth pitch of the evening, The Long Ride from Matthew Casella.
We're going to take a second to get straight on tech. Hachi, if you can queue up that YouTube video in another window, be ready to swipe to it. Awesome. So how's this work? It's down to go from slide to slide. I'm going to give it a hard press. Not happening. Okay, I'm going to. Yep. Okay. Cool. I'm back to the main slide. I think we're good to go. I've got my DI. I'm controlling the volume from my laptop. Here goes.
Hello and welcome to the Long Ride. This is a dark western. This story is set in a violent, decrepit Old West around the year 1900, through dusty saloons and their upstairs rooms, to cemeteries and windy deserts, in town squares at midnight and high noon, and on a moving train. 3 outlaws have just escaped hell and are reintegrating themselves into the world. Hell in this show is alluded to but not visited. Hell in this setting works like hell in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where time is dilated. An hour in our world might be a year in hell. I'm fond of the Ghost Riders in the Sky kind of eternal suffering, a tall tale about what's waiting across the Great Divide, like a rustic Dante's Inferno. But to me, what's interesting about hell in this story isn't what happens there. It's the effect it leaves on someone who gets out and tries to reconnect with the world. Some of you remember The Legend of Jesse Jean, a show from the Rock Opera Six-Pack in 2015. It made strong use of shadow play and tone, and I would love to carry some of those ideas forward into a larger piece of theater. Can you switch over to that video, please? Yeah, I just hit play. Pilo Bolas of Chicago enacts a lot of fantastic shadow work that had directly inspired The Legend of Jesse Jean and that we can continue to learn from. We can switch back over to the presentation. So let's meet these characters. The face is short, lithe, springy, and talkative, a swindler, a chiseler, a mouthpiece, a total fucking weasel. They have always been this way. They're an asshole and proud of it. They brag and swagger through double-barrel cowboy tunes like Voodoo Pharmacology, who is playing right now, and Reverend Horton Heat. The heavy is strong, dutiful, and reckless. The kind of person you'd expect to see wading into a bar fight to break it up. Their commitment to their obligations and their tendency to let their emotions get out of control is probably what got them killed in the first place. They died most recently out of the trio. They want to reconnect with their family. Maybe they've been in hell for 80 years, but only a week has passed in our world. Their family may not even know that they were gone. This character would be the most sympathetic and emotional, and that would show up in soulful pop folk like the Wood Brothers and Murder by Death. The wild card is stoic, guarded, shell-shocked. Out of all 3, this character is least equipped to re-enter real life because they've been dead a long time, like long enough for appreciable time to have passed in our world, and now they're struggling to find their place again. Nothing of their old life is left behind. Throughout their arc, this character could be working on forgiveness and redemption. They want peace, but there's a lot to process before they can reach it. They're dealing with nightmares, which would be shown in shadow play, that give us a glimpse into hell. And they're bringing in downbeat cowboy grooves like Holly Golightly and the Broke-Offs, and Community Center, which is playing right now. And yes, if you're familiar with Community Center, I agree, they're less country and more rock and roll, but this song is what I hear in my head when I think of this character. A note on music. Most of the classic westerns that inspired this story feature music from composer Ennio Morricone. What we're hearing right now is Man with a Harmonica from Once Upon a Time in the West. The harmonica melody in this is a character theme, a piece of music that's heard multiple times, used in different ways that sort of follows the character through their arc. This is a really strong way to illustrate the journey our characters are taking, and it would be an important part of the musical toolbox for this show. So, we have these interesting and motivated characters, a wide-open sandbox of a setting to play in, and a solid musical concept. Where's the spectacle? The over-the-top... Oh, I didn't switch. There we go. The over-the-top shit that's going to blow people's eyes out of the back of their skulls. In Panton Redundo, in all things excess, where is the redundo? We mentioned that the wild card's nightmares are a glimpse into hell. and part of what they show is the approach of demon bounty hunters. Looking something like an undead cowboy or a ring wraith, these things should evoke the same fear and terror that this scene did. They are unstoppable. Like dropping a team of Terminators into the Old West. We could run one over with a train, we could knock it off a cliff, or get a horse to kick it right in the face. They don't stop. They drive the action and up the stakes. They're willing to make a deal. A soul is a soul, and as long as the tally comes up even, they couldn't care less who it belongs to. They're riding a horse made of fire across the open plain, blasting diesel fuming, gut-punching, sun-dried rock like Motorhead and the Pilgrim. And last but not least, we have the Singing Cowfolk. They offer framing structure. This group exists outside of the story being told. They are the Midnight Society, sitting around a campfire and scaring each other with tall tales. They can give the audience a chance to catch their breath after an action sequence or ask each other questions to smooth out exposition. They are multi-instrumentalists. They're playing their own music on stage. They have a permeable fourth wall and can interact directly with the audience. What if we sold roses in front of house that could be traded, could be given in exchange for, attention during a serenade? They play OG bovine carols like Sons of the Pioneers, which we're hearing now, and one-man band style thumping folk tunes like Philip Roebuck. Exactly. So why do this show? It's a level up. This is a proven concept that we would be improving on with experience, time, and space. Imagine how the Legend of Jesse Jean would have looked with an extra 15 feet on both sides of the scrim. This might be the first show in the Paradise, and large-scale shadow play offers a minimal installation set of spectacular visuals that would really do justice to the spatial opportunities afforded by a new home. Also, Bros is great at creating incidental scoring. Really atmospheric music to cover scene changes. Part of this pitch is a drive to make those choices on purpose, writing it into the script and using the framework of the Singing Cowfolk to distract from changeovers entirely. Let's make this a seamless show. We're also covering new ground. Chase and anti-hero narratives are relatively new territory for Bros and will be fresh topics after Shakesville and Glitterous. This show also poses some challenges. The demons in this show demand some crazy physical action, maybe even breakable sets. How do we show a fist fight on top of a moving train on stage, or a convincing gunfight, or a knockdown, drag-out bar fight? What do we do about horses? In some cases, like with Pylobilus and Shadowplay, other groups have found or created solutions to these problems that we can learn from and use to create our own visuals. So, as you run across the desert with an inhuman force chasing you down, no one you can trust, and a desperate will to live, what's waiting for you if you don't make it? Long ride. Thank you. Move on back to sound cues if we have some music under the
Hey, that sounds great. All right, thank you so much, Matthew Casella, on the long ride. Do we have any questions for Matthew Casella?
No, I covered it all great.
All right, we do have a question over here.
As far as like characters and I guess costumes go, are there going to be any like demonic minotaurs? Like what's on the plate there?
So I consider it a fairly self-contained story that like the forces of hell in this case are this team of demon bounty hunters. Hell doesn't need a lot of tricks and fancy stuff to get the job done, and given the setting that this takes place in, it's thematically appropriate for a group of demons that can pass themselves off as U.S. Marshals, or kind of like the shadow cloud the minds of man. The spectacle is really the physical action.
What are some of the major set designs that we can expect?
Sure. Well, looking back to earlier in my notes, this show takes place in the Old West. So there's the saloon. Imagine like the stereotypical saloon that you've seen in every Western movie, where there's a long bar across the front of your view, and then maybe a back staircase that goes up to a separate level. We can do really interesting things by creating a second level, much like we had in the Autograph. And having scenes take place up there, but change the focus of the audience based on how lighting is used. Deserts. I had a bit in my original pitch about like what does it look like to see someone buried alive on stage. Cemeteries, that kind of thing. The sets. I guess that's the question that like the shape the script takes will answer.
One more question. So the main three characters, would there absolutely be an opportunity to make them feminine in an essence rather than masculine?
Yes, that's something I considered adding to the beginning of my speech. There's a lot of male adjectives in this description, in the music that I use to cue these, and the way that the character sketches turned out. No, these were pitched as and are intended to be gender-neutral characters. It is also very important, I think, to not just be gender or race blind, but to be gender and race considerate. In the writing room, when the decisions about these characters are made, that will inform the emotional journey, the arc that they take through the story.
Hello. Can you remind me what your position was for the Six Pack show, and also what you envision your role going forward for the long ride?
Sure. I pitched, wrote, directed, and helped work on the music for The Legend of Jesse Jean. And I would want to be in a similar role moving forward. This is an idea, a sandbox for us to play in that has a lot of fertile ground. And I am really interested in being a part of the team that creates the narrative that moves through.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question, JD.
Hi, Matt. My favorite thing about Bros shows is live animals on stage. Have you thought about a real horse on stage?
Okay, thank you, Chuck Green. Okay. All right, do we have any other questions for Matthew Costello?
I have, and you know what? Maybe we'll be in the paradise by then. Anything is possible.
All right, let's give it up one more time for Matthew Costello and The Long Ride. All right, thank you. And again, before our last pitch of the evening, just a reminder to please leave your Valentines for each other or for the pitchers in the bags next to the door. If I could please call up our last pitch of the evening. We have Allison Washington and Tatiana Ford with Sam R.I.
All right, how's everybody doing? See what I mean? Fuck it, I got it. So I'm Allison Washington, and this is Tatiana Ford. And our pitch is samurai. So, okay, and I think it's like up to go. There we go. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. So, Samara is a mild-mannered artistic intern for a mega video game company. She deals with the daily frustration she feels at home from her disapproving stepmother, the harassment on her daily commute to work, and the racial microaggressions at work. And the way she copes with this is by self-medicating with alcohol. When she does that, she falls into a place where she can find solace, her mind. Here she embodies our alter ego, a samurai who fights her daily struggles in her dreamscape by combating her adversaries with both her skills as a wordsmith and with her blade and staff. What would seem like a safe outlet eventually becomes out of control as Sam's tensions in real life start to spill out into the real world. Can Sam pull herself back together and fall in line? Or will it all become too much and she'll lose complete touch with reality, blurring the lines between what's real and what's imaginary? You guys, come on, you guys, you can do a little better than that one. All right, thank you. So, all right, we're gonna skip to 2 more. Bear with us, this is our first time. Okay, so our inspiration, and Hachi, if you can play this. So the inspiration comes from a martial artist who goes by the name Samarita. And she's self-taught, and she's pretty much putting herself into this position where she's now like a world-renowned stunt woman. And as you can see, she's pretty incredible. It's also inspired by Afro Samurai and other blaxploitation films. So we can, as soon as she is done that sweet ass, move. Look at that! Like, look at that shit! Like, and then we'll skip to. So what does this look like? So think if Michelle Gondry and Boots Riley could design a play based on Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Because remember, she works for a video game company. So a lot of the things that she does at work kind of spill into this dreamscape that she's created. So there's a lot of forced perspective and moving pieces, intricate details, and larger-than-life dreamscapes. Her fight sequences would play out like a video game with floating health bars and power-ups. And characters that like make Samara feel small in real life, even if they are smaller than her in real life, are going to be like larger and oversized during the fights. So that would mean stilts and oversized costumes and like video game references everywhere. So if you see, like, we have like the different, these are different images like from like Michelle Gondry sets where I want things to look as detailed as possible. And you have like, if anyone's ever remember, do you remember the music video Forever Long by Foo Fighters? The giant hands that he tends to use a lot. I would think it'd be really cool to create these like giant props to make it look super surreal. It's like super temperamental. I know, right? Okay. So yeah, so for like the sets, so I'd like to create each of these different scenarios in her life. She's at home, she's at work, she's going through, public transit. I think it'd be really cool to create an actual subway, like a metro, on stage that has a moving background that you can see going as they go by as the train is moving. And so this character, as you can see, the dude who's super close, making her uncomfortable, one of her harassers. And we can skip to. Okay, next slide. Thank you. And so I'm thinking like character transformation. So this is a really toned down version of it, but you have like the stepmother character, where she's this like holier-than-thou church lady who thinks that Samara's weird because she doesn't fit in with the stereotypical idea of what she imagines a young black woman to be, right? But when she's fighting her, when she's combating her in her dreamscape, you would take elements like her church hat, where the feathers start to turn into like tendrils, and her shoulder pads just become these big pointy weapons. So it's like when you're playing a video game, you have characters where parts of their costume can be taken off and used as weapons. I want the characters that she's fighting for part of their costumes to be used as weapons. And then, and the next one is, next slide. So, for the sound, and then Hachi, you can cue this up if you can. Turn up a little bit, Hachi. It's almost over. So this samples Murder Castle, 2 different tracks from Murder Castles, the prologue and Poisons of a Gilded Age. Am I saying that right? Is that? So what I want to do is I think it'd be really cool to take these songs, and Erica's freaking out because she worked on this. So I'd like to give credit to Erica for creating the original songs that I sampled. But I think it would be really cool to take these bros songs, to take things that we already have. We have these amazing, this amazing music that we've created, and then remix it and create these beats and turn into these songs that we can layer rap lyrics over, and even like R&B songs. So I'm thinking that we can do like the soulfulness and lyrical stylings of Lauryn Hill and the kung fu inspired rhymes of the Wu-Tang Clan. Sampling more of like 2006 Kanye West, because now Kanye West, he's canceled. So yeah, so this will definitely be a hip hopper with the full range from trap to slam poetry to nu metal. So we can do a little bit of everything. So the reason why this is good for bros, this will be the first hip hop production ever done by bros. Ever done by bros. And I think it's due time. You know, bros has been around for a while, and I think this would be a good move for us. It'll have a black female lead. Like, that's definite, a black female lead, which I think, but the topics addressed in the play will be relatable to everybody. Everyone's dealt with having a shitty boss. You know, everyone's dealt with not feeling like they're accepted by their parents or family members. I know you all have holidays where you're like, I just can't wait to get the hell out of here because I feel like I can't relate to any of these people, you know? And, you know, everyone gets that feeling of being taken advantage of. And I want this character to be relatable to everybody, but still be important, but still have this power. And you know, there are gonna be elements where it's like, okay, people of color will watch this and be like, wow, I get this, and non-people of color will watch this and be like, wow, I can see why you deal with the things you deal with or how you deal with it. So think of it less as like Do the Right Thing and more like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. So as the creators of the show, we want to be involved by being heavily around for the writing process. We want to write. We want to create. We want to do everything. So that way, you have all this. You have people of color who are working on the set, people who are working behind the scenes, people who are on the stage. We want this to be something that'll definitely help boost bros into, you know, the future. And I think. Okay, I think that's it. Does anyone?
Time for questions. All right, Mr. Jewett.
Where can I download that fucking shit?
I I can send it to you. I have to finish it. Let me like it's not finished, so let me finish it. I'll send it to you. I'll put it on Bros Book. Whoever just shouted, put it on Bros Book.
All right.
I
Thank you
also
for the answer.
I also made 2 other tracks, so I'll put those on there too. So.
Allison, it's a great pitch. Question here is spectacle.
Okay.
Black Caesar, Foxy Cleopatra, the 2 best blaxploitations ever made. What about that genre are you gonna be like, this is on stage and this is gonna make audiences drop their jaws? How are we gonna bring Black Caesar to the stage?
Ooh.
And make it insane?
That's a really good question. So, what I'm hoping to do is to be able to not since blaxploitation, or since the genre is something that's kind of misunderstood through different audiences, what I'm gonna try to do is cast the most badass people we can, right? And have the most badass writing team where we give these lines to these characters and we give these motivations to these characters that make them seem tough, that make them seem impenetrable, but that also make them seem vulnerable to the audience. So the side of those films that make that are like, okay, these people are larger than life, we want that, but we still want to kind of tone it down a bit. Did that answer your question, or did I feel it? Did it? Okay. Tatiana, do you have any opinion? Do you have any thoughts on that one too?
In terms of that question, I wouldn't say that we're trying to bring Black Caesar to the stage. More than anything, we want to bring something that Bros hasn't seen, something that the people of Baltimore haven't seen. So in order to do that, we'd like to do these amazing, elaborate sets with the characters that Allison have described.
Tatiana's much better at.
When you're talking about battles on the stage, and you're also talking about sort of like a lyrical battle, are we also talking like physical battle?
Yes.
Like so advanced sort of stage combat, lots of just like swords
Yes,
clashing.
we actually have wooden samurai swords, but I was so nervous I forgot to bring them on stage. They're right there. They're right there. So looking for and starting the process of looking for people who you can't just put them on the. So starting the process of looking for people who are trained in stage combat, specifically with in sword fighting, which would be really awesome because we've done productions that have had intense fighting scenes, but I want to do it where it's very stylized, and I think that would be, instead of kind of random, I think that'd be pretty cool.
Okay, we have another question on this side.
So in the fight scene, you mentioned that people in the real world who make her feel belittled, even though they might be physically smaller than her, are going to be larger than her in the fight scenes.
Yes.
How do you view taking that actor who is physically little and making them larger? Are you going to use puppetry of some type?
Stilts.
Stilts.
Stilts and puppetry, or we can just do 3 kids in a trench coat kind of thing, where they just sit on everyone's. But there's actually I'm glad you brought that up. So there's one point where one of the characters that she deals with, who's constantly harassing her, and he's harassing her on the metro. It's him and 2 other guys, so he's kind of got a posse. I want to kind of form them all together, so that this is one 3-headed kind of creature, which would be really interesting to work with 3 different bodies to see how we can kind of form them or build them up to create this monster.
Hey, Tatiana, we didn't hear a lot from you during your pitch. What will you be doing during, what do you see your role for the show, and what does Allison see her role as?
I think we both want to be heavily involved in the writing team. I imagine a lot of you know that I don't like to talk, so I opted not to do that. That's not to say that I don't want to have a lot of involvement in the show. I'm really excited about the pitch that we've made, and I know that there's a lot that we can do for Bros and for this storyline, and I would love to be involved in the writing.
What Tatiana said. For me, too.
You mentioned, I'm going to wait for the applause.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I was wondering what, if any, influenced video games. You mentioned also character transformation. Can you talk more about the influence of video games on this pitch?
So the character Samara, she's an intern for a video game company who comes up with these really cool ideas that her boss is just like, yeah, no, this is great, but it could be this, or, kind of pooing on her ideas, but then later using them. So I think the incorporation of like I said, like the power bars. So when she's going to fight, she can get extra health, or she can have like, we can see her power, right? So we can see, and we can do this with lights. There's so many ways we can do this, where we actually see the power bar of her versus her opponent coming up. And I think we can reference all different kinds of video games. So I think the style is not limited to just like Street Fighter. We can do anything, and that's the cool thing about video games. It's like, oh, you have this whole other world that you can take, that you can like take and mold and do. I don't know. It makes it kind of limitless. So.
Okay, we have another question over here.
Hello. So you're pitching doing remixes of existing Bros songs. Is this a pitch for a Bros show without a band?
No, it is not. So with a lot of, if you've ever seen like if you've ever been to a live like hip hop or R&B show, it's small on smaller scale. They'll have, they'll sample. But I want to do that, but I also want to have drummers. I also want to have bassists. So this is going to be a really bass-heavy show. So I want people to dance. I want people, like, I want it to go back to, like, you know, when we had these productions where people were like, oh, fuck, like, I love this song. Let me dance in the middle of the aisle. Let me get up. Like, I want people to shake their asses during this show. I want people to get hyped when they see this show. So having a live band is going to be really important, because then you're going to get the effect of those sounds. And I think it'd be really cool to create music that will work with a live band, but can also work with sampling. So there's going to be, and then it also then makes it easy to do things where the actors themselves can also control the samples.
Alice and I created a Spotify playlist for this pitch, and one of the artists in that playlist is Anderson .Paak. And Anderson .Paak, he samples music sometimes, but he always has a live band. So if you listen to him, you'll get an idea of what the show would sound like.
Yep. Oh yeah, also check out that Spotify playlist. It's on the actual page for the event. It's a pretty cool playlist.
This isn't so much a question rather than a comment. Allison, I would love for you to bring the essence and personality of Samari to the stage as you yourself. Like, I think that you bring forth a very big, you know, persona for this character. And I would love and appreciate to see you on that stage as Samari.
Thank you. But let's get past the pitch party first. Like, if you just vote, then maybe we'll see what happens. I don't know.
I'm loving the enthusiasm in this room. It's awesome.
I know,
All
right?
We have two
Everyone's
more
great.
questions over here to JD.
Hey guys, I was just, could you touch on like what is the audience takeaway and the resolution of the show? Like, where does the plot take us at the end, and what are we, what do we take away from it?
Oh, okay, that's nice. So, as we mentioned before, at the very beginning, the character solves all her issues, or kind of copes with her issues by drinking, right? Samara and I both.
That's not mine.
It's not. I'm just saying Samara over and over again. And Tatiana and I both have a psych background. So what we want to do is we want the audience to take away from this character who deals with very real issues that are pertinent in the Black community, where it's like, okay, you deal with stress, you deal with anxiety, and one of the main popular mechanisms for people of color and people who are poor is alcohol. So we want the audience to kind of be in this world where they're sympathizing with this character, right? They're finding out more about her, but at the end, they don't know what's real and what's fake, and what's fake. The audience is following this as the main character is. So the audience is just like, okay, did that happen in real life? Did that happen in her dream? Does that answer, or do you need me to elaborate a little bit more? I can if you.
Okay, we have a question right over here. I have, of course, a musical question. I wanted to know, what was your idea for vocals for the show? Would you consider vocal loops, beatboxers, and having like a choir in the back that could be looped during the show, possibly?
Ooh,
I know, right? It's dangerously specific.
That is dangerously specific, but I like it. Because one of the artists that's actually on the playlist is SZA. So I want to do things where we have where we have a lead who can sing, so that way it's not just rap. It's also going to be R&B. So they're going to be like there's going to be like ballads, and there's going to be songs that happen between characters where they're singing and then can also go into a rap hook. So I like the idea. That's actually a really good idea to have like a choir in the back who can also sing. Yeah, at the ready, because again, you never know what happens. But but I think it'd be cool to have people who can beatbox, people who who are great at slam poetry, I want it to be cast with people who have that power on stage to deliver and to make you feel just by their words, just by their look, just by their intent, and just kind of cut through like a sword.
What a wonderful way to end it. I just want to again thank you, Allison Washington and Tatiana Ford, for Sam R.I. Thank you, everybody. And wow, that was our 7th pitch party. Round of applause. And again, I just would like to not rifle up there, excuse me. I just want to list the rest of the pitches, all of the pitches that we went through tonight, just to remind you. Again, we had Neon Streets by Simon Cantor. We had Resurrectum from Dave Kay. Love and Roar from Chris Ruther. Phantasma from June Keating. The Long Ride from Matthew Casella. And you just heard Sam R.I. from Allison Washington and Tatiana Ford. Thank you all so much again for this wonderful evening. If you have any questions at all, we'll be sticking around at the tables. Please, again, give us your Valentines and notes to all of the pitchers. And, oh yeah, we're getting there. And if you guys want to stick around tonight, I think you should, because we have DJ Technique tonight for a dance party. DJ Amesy's sticking around tonight. So thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, let us know. And please, if you are interested in helping out with Shakesville, Space Kumite, or Glitterous, please find one of their representatives. If you have any questions, go talk to registration people. Will be over at the table where all of the stickers and glue is. Thank you.
What's wrong with him? It's his heart. His heart was in the game, and now he's lost all hope. His heart